Hello and welcome to our ACCA F5 lecture recap. This one was on risk and uncertainty. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about risk first of all. So risk can be quantified. So you can quantify risk. How do you do that? You base it on past experience. So risk can be quantified and you base that on past experience, and we're thinking here around probabilities, the probability of something happening. That's the risk. When we come to uncertainty, well, it can't be quantified. So we can't quantify uncertainty. That is the difference between risk and uncertainty. You cannot quantify uncertainty. So what we have to do is try to reduce uncertainty. How do we do that? Well, we can research the market so that we know enough about it. We can look at data, we can gather the data, we can make an analysis of that data, and then we can produce a report to try and know enough about what we're going to do to reduce the uncertainty to an acceptable level. Just a word here on types of data. Primary data is source data that you gather yourself, for example, a questionnaire. Secondary data, well, that's already there. That's been gathered by someone else. Quantitative data, that's the numbers. And qualitative data, that's why something has occurred, an opinion as to why something has occurred. So quantifying risk then. We've said that we can quantify risk. How do we do it? What we do is we consider the possibilities. We maybe have a best case scenario, a worst case scenario, and a most likely scenario. So do remember that the attitude to risk of the managers will decide which of these they will actually choose. So if the managers are risk takers, they'll maybe look at the best case scenario. If they are prudent, they'll maybe look at the worst case scenario. So the attitude to risk decides that, and we did an example in class. Expected values then, we need to know these for the exam, and what we do is we use these if the probability is given to us. So the expected result is something that will occur on average over time with repetition. So that's what expected values are telling us. They're saying that on average over time with repetition, this will occur. It's not telling you what will definitely occur next time. It's telling you what on average will happen if you repeat something over and over and over. So we did our illustration, and that was our option 1 and option 2. With different probabilities for different profit levels. Did our expected values, which were shown below, give us an expected value for option 1 of 5,600 and expected value for option 2 of 4,800. Tips on this one: change your probability into a decimal. Make sure those decimals add up to 1 because you have to have 100%. So then multiply that by your profit and add those up to get your expected value. When it comes to uncertainty, well, you're going to use sensitivity analysis. What is sensitivity analysis? What you're doing is you're looking at the related variables. So you're making changes to those and seeing what happens. What we're asking then, for example, is what effect will cost changes have? So if you put your costs up by 10%, how will that affect your profit? That's sensitivity analysis. What effect will cost changes have? How will this affect your profit? How sensitive is profit to cost changes? On to those decision rules we looked at. The maxi-min, remember, this was maximizing your minimum achievable profit. So setting up a little table saying, right, what's our minimum achievable profit for each scenario, and looking to maximize that. It's risk averse because all you're seeking to do is look at the worst case scenario and say, let's do the one that gives us the best of that. The maxi-max says, let's maximize our maximum achievable profit. So this is really looking at a best case scenario. It's taking the best case scenario and saying, we'll look at that one because it has the maximum achievable profit. But again, maybe that's too optimistic. The last one we looked at was our maxi-max regret. And what it was minimizing the opportunity cost of making the wrong decision. So look at the opportunity cost of making each decision and try to minimize that. And we did our example of that in class. So that was our session on risk and uncertainty.